Welcome. This is the Sonos Sub Hack that I did with my Sonos-ARC and two Sonos 1SL speakers as my 5.1 surround sound system. I followed a YouTube video for the Sonos Sub Hack and looked up Reddit for tweaking and stuff. So this is just a short video of what I've done, which works really well. It's a great alternative to buying the Sonos Sub. And a lot cheaper way of doing it as well. So apologies for the poor quality of the video and everything. This is the first one I've ever done, so just follow it through. It will hopefully make sense by the end of it, and yeah, just watch and hope it works for you. To do this hack, I bought a Vibe Lock 2 version 5 2-channel line output converter. This I connected the speaker wires to it, and as you can see in the pictures, it actually works great. It's really good buy. The particular model is really good because it's got good bass output from what I saw in the site description where I purchased it from. So for the teardown, all I did was I followed the Sonos Sub Hack YouTube video, which I'll give you a link below, and just followed that and connected the wires as per his video. It's really that simple. As you can see in this picture, I drilled a hole in the back of the Symfonisk to take the cables out, which I'd soldered to the speaker terminals, and connect them into two Wago blocks connectors, which made it very simple to do. And there it is with the Vibe connected as well. As you can see, what I did do is I tucked the yellow, black and the blue cable, which were not needed, around the back of the Vibe and zip tied it to it. So all I was doing is just connecting the left and right speaker terminals. And there it is with the two RCA cables connected as well, which then plug into the subwoofer. So there you have the right and left gain on the Vibe. And what I did is I set these halfway. So I turned them fully to the left, fully to the right, or so anti-clockwise and clockwise, and just set them halfway just to give sort of medium output for it, and then the rest can be adjusted on the subwoofer. So that's how I connected it. I know it looks a bit messy, but I did tidy it up after I did that. But you can see from the Vibe to the subwoofer on the two line ins, or actually the top connector, it actually says LFE, which is low frequency effects, but it says line in on mine as well, and then there's a line out underneath. But just the two line in inputs, left and right channels, and that's it basically. That's the connections back into the back of the sub, and you'll be able to see that the close-up of the settings that I've got, and this is the most important bit. This is what determines how good the sound is coming from the sub. You can also see there the line in connections. On the left is LFE, and on the right is the right, so it's line in, left and right, and that's how I connected from the Vibe into the back of the sub. So this is what my sub looks like with the Symfonisk sitting on top, and the cables and all that tucked behind nice and neat. And I'll just quickly go through the settings, which are the most important part in the app and on the subwoofer as well. So these next settings are actually quite important. I found this on Reddit. A guy put them on there. He's an engineer. He's used to tuning live systems. So pay attention to these next screenshots, and that will give you all the information you need to actually set up the Sonos in the Sonos app. The EQ flat sub level is +3, and you notice on the screenshot of the showing the name of my sub, I call it Living Sub, and when you go into the Sonos app and select that, the sub level is +3 on the bass, and the treble is 0, and on the standard ARC setting, the EQ is flat is 0 on both, on the bass and the treble, and that's the best way to set it. It also says about setting the surround audio on the ARC to ambient, not full. Not sure about this. I think it's personal preference, but seems to work fine. And on the music level, -4, and seems to work sort of fairly well as it is at the moment for me. And then what I'll do is I'll just briefly go back onto my sub settings. So once this was all done, and then I used TruePlay to tune it. When you use TruePlay, it's very important to turn your sub down to a minimum volume or off altogether. And then when you finish your TruePlay and it's all set up and everything, then you can turn your actual bass volume back up a bit, just to tweak it, just to suit your preference. Okay, so now you've got the TruePlay all done, you've got the settings, the equalizers all set as per the previous pictures. Do not attempt to adjust those, leave them as they are. The only adjustments you will need is on the back of the sub and possibly definitely the volume settings on your main volume control on your app. So on the back of the sub, the 3 dials there, the top one is the level, which is the volume control. The middle one is the cutoff crossover frequency, and the bottom one is the phase. So the top level one, the volume, adjust it as you need to. The cutoff down below, adjust it around 80 or 100 hertz. I think the ARC has got a crossover cutoff at about 100 hertz. Where I've got mine set, it seems to work for me fine, so that's good. And the bottom dial, the phase, you've got 0 is anti-clockwise full, and it's 180 fully clockwise. I've got mine phase set at 180, seems to work okay. So that's how I've set it really. So the only other thing you will need to do after that, you will need to adjust it whether you're playing music or movies, mainly possibly the volume. I tweak mine now and again. Depends what movie I'm playing as well. So just adjust it as you need to. So on the app itself, you'll notice you've got the living room, which is my ARC, and my 2 Sonos SL1s, which are my rear surround speakers. The living sub is the Sonos Sub Hack, and I've named it living sub. So, and the group volume, if you move that to the right or to the left, so it's up or down, it will move both the living sub and the living room volumes together. If you use the remote control for your TV to increase the volume or reduce the volume on the ARC, it will not reduce or increase the volume of the sub as well at the same time. It will only do that if you use the app, the group volume in the app. But the advantage of using the group volume in the app is the fact that if the sub is too loud, you could turn it down, the living sub volume down on its own without adjusting the ARC volume itself. So it's quite a good way of tweaking it if you want to, if you find that there's too much bass. So that's it really. Overall, the hack works well for me. I've got really deep, low frequency bass, which vibrates the room and shakes the room, which is what I like when I'm watching a movie when I need it. So that's why when tweaking the sub, the volume, and I tweak the crossover to get that nice, not constant boom boom boom, but the nice deep rumble in the room when a movie's playing when you need it. But when you're playing music, you may need to adjust it again to get, if you're playing deep house, you want a nice boom boom, deep boom boom on the bass, and you'll get that. So yeah, it depends what sub you've got yourself, but this is what I found. This is what has worked for me, and I want to thank the guys from Reddit for this tweak information, and also the original Sonos Sub Hack guy on YouTube. Without that I wouldn't have been able to do this, so it's been cheap for me to do, cheaper than buying a Sonos sub. I will do that eventually, but for the time being this is going to work fine. So thanks very much for watching.